pretty quick. So, well, I mean, it's a good thing to do. A jig and minnow is a great search bait, and I'll tell you what, you will always get bit on it. You'll always catch fish. You might not catch 50 a day, but you're always going to catch fish on it. And Steve will tell you that most of us, that's what we use, right? I mean, we use jig and minnow for, I would say 80 to 90% of our guide trips out here are jig and minnow because our customers get bit. And that's the thing, yeah.
Well, I think you answered my question. I was going to ask, worm, leech, or minnow. What's the?
You know, there's times when, you know, like a hot day, still day, when worms will maybe sometimes outproduce a jig and minnow. Why? I don't know.
And leech? And
leeches too. You know, leeches will be good, but this is a really good crawler lake as opposed to leeches. Sometimes in June leeches will outshine, but this is really good crawler lake. And like if I'm putting air in a crawler, for instance, a lot of guys like to fish crawlers on a slip sinker rig. I put the air in the collar.
Yep.
I don't put it in the tail so the tail stands up. I put it in the collar so the entire worm sits up a little bit higher. And then when you pull it, that tail just kind of goes like this. And that's a key thing with fishing worms. You know, I don't put air in a spinner rig because the spinner, as it turns, gathers water and it comes up off the bottom. So I don't worry about that.
But just a hook with air.
Yep. Yeah, if you looked at that one rig I showed you with the single hook and a bead, that's my standard worm. I like fishing that. That's what I fish most of the time when I'm fishing worms. Or a spinner. And if I use a spinner, I use a half a worm. If I'm using a harness, of course, I use a whole worm. But if I'm using just a single hook spinner, I use a half a worm. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you hook your worms in any particular spot?
Well, if I'm working it with a single hook, I hook it right in the nose. You know, right in the very tip of it. I don't hook it in the collar. And if I'm working a spinner, like a 2-hook harness, I put one in the nose and one in back of the collar. And that usually, you know, and if you get a hit on a spinner, just drop your rod tip. You know, if they pull it, just drop your rod tip as far as you can go and set. You usually don't have to open a bail and let them run with it. With a single hook and a single worm, I like to fish